Hi everyone, I'm Karen Combs. It is May 10th, 2024, and this is Flosstube 31. I've been kind of messing around with trying to get things set up, and I thought I'll just start. I'm taping this in between two meetings that I have, so I may end up doing this in two parts. I don't think you'll notice, but I guess if I'm in different clothes, then you will. But I have had quite a bit going on since I last talked to you. We chatted about a week and a half ago, right before I was getting ready to go to the Nicole Parkman workshop that was sponsored by Queen City. It was fantastic. And so I had thought about doing just a Flosstube about the event, and this might be what this becomes if it gets too long, but we'll see. So for those of you just joining us, I want to thank you. If this is your first time, welcome. My channel is about a lot of different things, quilting, but this is my Flosstube, which is about stitching. And I just want to thank you. I had many people come up to me at the workshop and chat about my Flosstube, and it just touched my heart. Because as I told several of you, I'm just sitting here talking to my phone with a big light in my eyes and a big window over here. And I know you're there, but I can't see you. But I know you're there. So to hear you talk to me in person about it, just thank you. Touched my heart. I appreciate it so very much. So I don't even know where to start. Let's go to what I was talking about in the last video, which was what should I bring? And I had several people ask me, what did you decide? So this was the big case that I was gonna take, but I was a little concerned because the space on our table. And I did pack this, but I mostly left it in my motel room because I found that what worked best for me was this smaller case that I could put, and everything's not in here, but I could put everything that I was using in here. And then I also used my lamp. It's gonna be fun to get. Used my lamp. And what I found is in my space where I was working, I had my case and I set my lamp on top of it, which gave it just a little bit of height. And I could really adjust let me get this out of here, adjust the lamp because I was working with the Patoki frame. So what I ended up using is this and the lamp, and making noise because I have an espresso here, which I made really strong, so I might be talking really fast. But I also took my little Ort container and my scissor holder that I picked up from Needlework Press. And before I forget, when I was talking about packing my scissors into my case, these particular scissors that I tend to use all the time don't have a point protector. And it was, where's my notes? Hold on. Where is it? I wrote it down. Cindy mentioned that she uses, this is genius. Thank you, Cindy. Do you recognize that if you knit? You just put that on the end of your knitting needles. Look. There it is. Now it can go in the case without puncturing anything. Genius. Thank you for sharing that, Cindy. Sometimes it's the most obvious things that you don't even put together. I have, I don't know how many of these in my knitting supplies. Never occurred to me. Just put a little hat on that guy. There you go. When you travel with it, in case you don't have any kind of holder. And I also, talking about cases, I did bring this, and I was going to put the 103 silks we were using in there, but I ended up not doing it, and I'll show you why in a minute. So those are the cases that I decided to take. And what we worked on at the workshop, and it was fantastic, was Margaret Hinton. Let's see if I can hold this up without glare. There it is. Margaret Hinton. I don't know if this will be released. It may, I have no idea. It may not, I don't know. But it had several stitches that we worked on. And I'll show you that in a minute. It's mostly cross stitch over 2, but there were also cross stitch over 1, alternating double back cross stitch, rice stitch, 4-sided stitch, Algerian eyelet, double running stitch, and queen stitch. And we practiced those. Nicola had several lectures that were wonderful. She had demonstrations about the stitches. We were able to practice. It was great. So that's what we worked on. I have so much here. I'm like forgetting what I'm doing. Let me show you, before I show you the actual sampler, let me show you some of the things that we received, and I'm going to hide what my stitching is first. I did 40 count, and the linen I got was Muddy Duck, and maybe everybody got Muddy Duck. And 40 count, I just had a funny thought, and I'm going to share with you. And I was able to meet Grace, the Paisley Stitcher, in person. She and I have chatted a little bit, and also Barry, Stitch Folk, love her bags. But anyway, we went to dinner along with Liz, the traveling stitcher, the last night. And I was telling them when I teach quilt classes and I would be demonstrating something or holding up a quilt, and I just thought of this, so I'm going to share it with you. So if you want to look like you have a beautiful young neck, and you all know what I'm talking about, when you hold something up, you hold it like this. So if you see me holding up my samplers like that, you'll know what I'm doing, right? So anyway, this is we had a pouch that we received our 103s in. And what's interesting, I'm going to go back to the pattern cover. When I first saw this, it's Margaret Hinton, I thought, well, all I saw was red and green. And so I thought, okay, it's a red and green sampler. Look at all the colors. I mean, there's just all kinds. There's a yellow, there's orange. Let me see if I can kind of show you. Just all kinds of colors in there. So I think there's a purple. I'm not seeing it right now because I had this big light in my eyes. Yep, there's a purple or a lilac. So that was a surprise, and I think that's always when you see something in person versus a picture, I'm always surprised anyway. So that was what we received, but we also, and the needle was in there. We also received some gifts from Nicola. We received an eyeglass cleaner or screen cleaner, and that's the sampler. We received note cards, and here's the sampler. And it's not a big sampler. Let me take a look. Well, I guess it's bigger than I thought. Okay, it's 160 by 234, but on 40 count, it's 8 by 11, which it seemed small. So it'll take a while because they're specialty stitches, but it's gorgeous. So Nicola gave us those things, and she also gave us this chart. This is Honora Maxwell, A Token of Love. And I do not know if this is available for purchase, but Nicola talked about this sampler in one of our lectures and then gifted us the sampler. So it may be available. And this one is, this one's small, 28 by, no, that's wrong. That's the linen. Should have looked this up before. Okay, I can't see it quickly, but I believe this one was small. So those were our gifts from Nicola. And we also received some gifts from the Queen City Guild. So let me show you those. We received a beautiful bag with the sampler on it. It's big. And then it's got this fabric on the back and this fabric inside. There we go. So we could put everything in there. We also received this charm. Let me see if I can hold it, which has got the year and the Queen City logo. So I put that on the bag. And then we also received a little needle book. I love how this is done. It's nice and thick. And it's got felt, so you can use it as a needle book. So, love that. Just had a thought, somebody had asked me how to make something. And I'll try to, when I rearrange, show you that. So this looks like it's 2 layers of fabric, stitched, thick padding, felt. And then they did put the information there. And they also gave us, I'm trying to remember because they just kept gifting us things. They gave us this travel mug with the sampler on it. So it was just so nice. Now, before I forget, there is one thing I did not take that I wish I had had. So I purchased one as soon as I got home. It is something to put a cookbook holder, page holder, and I saw a lot of people with these, and I thought, oh, this folds flat. It's perfect, and it's metal, so I could put some needle minders there to decorate it up if I wanted to, but then it has all these different levels of how you want to tilt it. So I'll put the link to that in the description, and I try to put the link to whatever I talk about in the description box that you should be able to just click on and it'll take you to that. But this comes in a lot of different colors. I got the white one. I wished I'd had that because I had to end up propping my diagram up against my coffee mug. That didn't work very well. So I wished I'd had that, but I will now. So let me show you. Do you remember I packed a doodle cloth? Well, I ended up stitching my samples in the margin. So what I have done on this is some of the border and some of the bands that use the specialty stitches. So this is, let me check. This is what I have done. So there's my stitches up there. Hold on, let me get that thread out of the way. Sorry for the dangling threads, but so there's some of my sample stitches. And here is what I've done so far. The first, of course, there's the border, then the double back stitch, I think is next. I'm gonna have to look it up. There's 4 different bands that I worked, and the bottom one is the 4 square. I did the rice stitch, and I can't remember this one. That's so cool. Let me look it up. But you can see on the stitches I practiced, and I was happy that after doing it a few times, I got kind of a rhythm and was happy with how it looked. That one that is so interesting is alternating double back stitch. That one is a fun one to do once you kind of get in the rhythm of it. So that's that one. So that's the sampler, and also had some gifts from people that I wanted to share. And I'm always interested when I'm going to go somewhere, you know, sometimes this time I did have a little packet for everybody. Some people bring little gifts for the people that are going to sit right by them. Sometimes they bring them for their friends they're going to see. Sometimes they bring them for everyone. Most of the time they don't. Just so you know, because I know some people think, do I have to bring for everybody? Very few people do that. So don't worry about that. But some people will make a little something to share with people that they meet. So I wanted to share some of the things. This was from Gwen. I love this. So old ruler. So that's, I love that. That was from Gwen. And then I have some floss cards from Stitching Scotty on, this is Dottie, but it's Stitching Scotty on Instagram. She's from Spartanburg, South Carolina. So that's a little Scotty dog. And oh, this I think was beautiful. This is by Barbara Machik. And these are library cards. But the scale of them is perfection. Look at this, if I can get it out. Look at this. I think she made these. Maybe she purchased them. I don't know. But it's got the pattern, space for pattern name, designer, stitched by, just all kinds of information. But look at the size. It's little. I love that. So Barbara, thank you. Just hold that up there so you can see it. Love that. And she had it in a little container. And then I don't know who brought these by, because one of the friends I was sitting with picked this up for me. It's a little scissor charm. So whoever that is, if you're watching, put it in the comments so I can acknowledge you. There were different sayings, and this one says linen. And then Donna McClellan. I met her at Hobby House last fall, and she was there, and look what she had several designs, and she let me pick, and I picked one with an owl because it's my daughter-in-law's favorite, with a little waxer. Thank you, Donna. I love it. I love it. It is so pretty. And then Ellen Chester, and I got to meet Ellen. I enjoyed that so much because she and I too have kind of chatted a little bit just online, so it was nice to meet in person. She gave us these little fish. Now, these are actually a bead, but if you're traveling and you need just a little bit of a color, instead of taking the whole skein, you can run the floss down in here and wrap around it and travel with it. I thought that's genius. They have a nice weight. They feel nice, so that's kind of just a fun little thing to have. And then Barry gave me a beautiful package, and it had some snacks in it, which my husband promptly devoured when I got home. He enjoyed those. Thank you, Barry. But Barry also, some floss cards, and these are called Floss Beans, because that's Mr. Bean. I love those. And Barry's presentation is always spot on. Look at that. Just like her bags. She just knows how to put things together. And then this is a seam ripper and needle threader. I'm not going to take it out of the package. And some Saju needles. So thank you very, very much. So those were the gifts, and let's see, I showed you all of that. Let me show you. So we're going to talk about haul, and I'm going to talk about whips on this one, I think. So where are we? 20 minutes. I think we will. So when we went in to find our seats, and the night before, there was a reception, and we checked in, and we got a name tag. And then the next morning, we checked in again, but then we were marked off because we received our kit, and we had ordered ahead of time whatever count we wanted. And so I was with several friends, Cindy and Gwen and Christine, several others, and it was set up in classroom style. So we were all kind of side by side, which was nice because we had space. We could all face forward. And I put some pictures of the workshop on Instagram, but I also put them at the beginning of my talk here on my Flosstube. I need to take another drink of my espresso, I think. And now I don't remember what I was talking about. But when we came in, we got our kit and we sat down and we had several lectures, as I mentioned, but there were also 2 tables. That's where I was going. There were 2 tables, or 2 areas with tables with displays. One was where if you had finished a Hands Across the Sea sampler, you could display it. So that was wonderful to see all of those. And then the other table, Nicola had brought some samplers. And so we were looking at those. And on one of them, we needed to guess, if we wanted to, we could guess how many stitches were in it. And then whoever guessed the closest received 2 antique samplers. And I was about 300 off, and I'll show you in a minute which one it was. But there was this sampler displayed, and I just kept looking at it, and I thought, oh, I love this. And seeing samplers in person, they are so usually done on such fine linen and so beautiful, and it's so different seeing it in person versus just looking at a picture. But Nicola did have some charts we could purchase. So this is one I purchased. It's Georgiana Carolyn Williams, and it's a black sampler. And again, I do not know if it's available or will be, but let me hold it so you can see it. It might be new or coming out. And then the other one that I purchased was the one that we had to guess on. And it was part of a lecture, and it turned out it was the Queen of the May, which you've probably seen, Hannah Green, 1862. And we needed to guess if we wanted to go in the drawing or be eligible to win the samplers, how many stitches. And I think I guessed 34,000 something, and I believe it was 36,000, somewhere in there. I can't remember. I want to say 36,000 something 45, but I don't know if that's right. But I know it was 36,000. And the person that guessed the closest was only 350 stitches off, I think, from guessing the total. But we were also able, if we wanted to purchase the chart for the 2024 Queen of the May. So I did purchase this. I don't have plans to start on it soon, but I did want to purchase it. I'm going to set this aside because I want to talk about this in a little bit. So this comes to what I wanted to mention is that, get my notes here, 2 things. If you are looking for a fun day trip, if you're in the Midwest or live in Ohio or northern, see, I get my geography right, northern Kentucky, Ohio, near Cincinnati, let's just say, and you want to do a fun trip. Or if you want to do a fun trip with a friend for a day or 2, Lebanon, Ohio is a little town. I think it's maybe 20, 30 minutes outside Cincinnati. And they have the Harman Museum. And I went to that because they have an exhibit of samplers until June 22nd, 2024. And I'm giving the year in case somebody's watching this afterwards, you know, like next year or something. But the museum, check their website so you can get the days they're open, but it was a very nice exhibit. Lebanon is a really historic town. It's a cute town, beautiful little houses, and there are probably some big houses too. I just went down one little street and they're just historic homes, so beautiful. And there is an inn/restaurant. They're called the Golden Lamb, and it is Ohio's longest continuing running business. It opened up in 1803, and it's still going. I went there for lunch. It was marvelous. You can stay there, and be sure to go or ask about going to the 4th floor. I missed that. There's a little museum up there. I missed it. I wished I'd known. But also in Lebanon, there are antique shops. There are other nice restaurants. So it'd be a fun little trip, a getaway, even a day trip. And Keepsake is not very far away. I think maybe 25 minutes. So just wanted to mention that because that is a fun trip. And I enjoyed, I think I got there right before the museum opened and went to a couple antique shops and went to lunch, and it was just nice. It was really nice. Now, I also wanted to mention for those of you, as I'm talking about Nicola's workshop, and you're thinking, I can't get to one in person. And it's really nice, but I can't get there. Nicola, and you probably already know this, but I did want to mention it. Nicola has what she's calling Mrs. Parkman's Academy of Needlework. And there is a paid class, which I'm going to show you, but she also has just released a free class, which she's going to talk about on her Flosstube tomorrow, which is May 11th. But I want to show you the paid class because, and it's, I think it was around 30 pounds, 35 pounds, something like that. And you get the lessons, the demos for the stitching, a lecture about the sampler, and you can watch the demos as much as you want to. It is Margaret Anderson, 1830, A Lass That Is Gone. So that's the class, and many of you already may be signed up for it, but it has, and it's a PDF, so you just print it out, and I was going to look to see, because there's several stitches on here. Of course, there's cross stitch. There's long arm cross stitch. There's two-toned cross hatching, satin stitch, and all of these are demoed. Double running stitch and the queen stitch. And you can work on the sampler, or I'm just going to show this very quick. You can do a little, oh, it'd be something about that size, just to practice the stitches. So that's in there. So it's a little, well, it could be, I don't know if you'd use it for a luggage tag. Maybe if you did it small enough, you could do it as a little fob or something like that. So all of the information is in there, along with, of course, the sampler. So I haven't started it. I have watched the lecture. I've watched the stitch demos, and going to Nicola's workshop in person, I wanted to wait to start on Margaret until I had been to that. But you don't have to go to something in person. You can just watch it and practice. It was wonderful. I don't know the linen I picked. Here it is, 40 count cocoa. 40 count, 40, yeah. And here are, oh, look at the colors. And again, I'm going to say it's not very big, but it might be bigger than I think. And I'm not going to dig through to try to find it. But the information is on Hands Across the Sea website. And I wanted to mention that for all of you that want to take a workshop with Nicola. This is your opportunity. And also watch her Flosstube tomorrow, because it is a free class that she's offering, and it's, I think it's the, what's it called? ABCs of cross stitch. I think she's going to start right at the beginning, and it just looks amazing. So more information on her website about that. And again, I just wanted to mention it because often when we watch Flosstube, you'll see people that are going to workshops or going to different things, and you may not be able to. And I know I've talked about the ones that I've gone to, but they're pretty spread out. And I don't have anything scheduled for next year because I've done some this year and I did some last year. And it's like, I might need to take next year off. I'm not sure. We'll just have to see. But that way you can also be part of it and take a class. So let me see, what are we at? 30 minutes. Okay. What I'm going to do is clean up all of this. And then when I come back, which it won't be any time for you, it'll be a while for me to reorganize, I will show you my whips and show you just a little bit of haul that I got. I'm just checking my notes here to make sure that I've covered everything for this. All right, so let me turn this off, clean it up, and I'll be back. It'll only be a split second for you. Put that up there so I would know which section was which. So reorganized, I'm going to show you whips and a little bit of haul. I've worked on quite a bit since I've shown you that last. I think it's last time I would have shown you would have been the 15th of April, so a while ago. Like what, 3 weeks? I put some pictures in the opening, and I always try to do this, what's been happening. And if any of you watch the news, you probably saw a tornado hit Columbia, Tennessee, or Murray County, Tennessee. That's where I live. And so the picture that you saw was actually the wall cloud that dropped the tornado. It ended up being an F3. It was a few miles from our home. It was pretty scary, but we're off to the side of it, so we could see it from where our house is on the hill, and we knew it was bad. But the community immediately came together. Sadly, there was one fatality, 12 people injured, 105 homes damaged, 40 of them severely. Immediately after recovery finished, and they started getting the roads cleared. Power is on to most of the places except where the tornado actually took out the big giant Tennessee Valley Authority, or the TVA. Those big, I used to call them monsters, I don't know, but they carry the electricity. So it's been heartwarming to see the community immediately come together, groups bringing in food, businesses that, maybe a landscape business or a tree trimming business, they're dropping everything and going to help people. So it's been very heartwarming. And then last night, we got to see the Northern Lights in Tennessee. It was crazy. It was incredible. Now, they were faint when we looked at them, and we went way up on our hill where it was darker. So that helped. But then I held the camera up with my phone, and you could see the brilliant color. And then when you took your camera away, of course, you could see it, but it was fainter. But it was amazing. And we might see some more tonight. We'll see. So let's get into whips, and I got 25 minutes. So this is my April, and this is my May of my book of days. And Barry did gift me with a sticker, and it says happiness is stitching with friends. So I put that on the dates where we were at the workshop. So there's my May, and I really do use this to keep track of things that are happening. So I enjoy it. I've never journaled before, so that's been kind of fun. What I've been working on, been working quite a bit on this, and we had a discussion at the workshop. Anne Tong Uffendell, or Uffendell, because I've been saying Anne, I don't remember how I was saying it now. And I guess because Tong, I think I'm saying it right, it's just harder to pronounce. I don't remember what I was saying. If someone says, do you know something? I went, no, I'm just a lazy speaker, I guess. But we're just going to call her Anne. But I've been working on Anne quite a bit. I really do love this sampler. It looks intimidating. It's not. It's like anything else. You take it a stitch at a time and a motif at a time. So I've been working on the border and going down to that second level. So just kind of scan and then I'll hold it back. So I've got a lot of the border done. I've done one of the over one up there. Need to finish that. Need to finish a little bit of the basket. I know I've got some little motifs to put along that border or that band. And worked on the border some more. And yesterday started working on that motif. Let me hold it back. It's a big one. Well, I don't think I'm gonna get the whole thing, but I do have the border all together. So I'm working on that with Vicki Clayton Silk Pack. So I've worked on that quite a bit. So that's one of the things I've worked on. Also worked on, in fact, I was working on this during my meeting this morning because it's got fill in. Been working on Shores of Hawk Run Hollow. And I'm working on this house. Let me hold it up so you can see. Now this house is quite dark. I need to get up above so I can see what you're seeing. This one right here is quite dark. And I started stitching it with the called for mortar color. I didn't like it. So I've switched it up. I've switched up, let's see, the shutters, the mortar, the steps. I love how it looks. And I think I worked on some of the outlining too. Oh, I love this. Okay, there, hold on. There we go. And I think I've got just a little bit of, do I have some? Yeah, I've got that other side. That's why it looks funny. I don't have the mortar in there yet. I love how that looks. And let me hold it back so you can see. That's what I've got done so far. So I worked on that. And then worked a little bit on Marianne Kopp with Thy Needle and Thread. This border is so elegant and you're getting a rhythm with it. So I got a needle, hold on. There's a hanging thread, but I'm in the middle of the border, so I don't want to stop. I did get all the name and the date done. I haven't been telling you what these are on, have I? I guess I should do that. I'm all discombobulated. I know, I know each time I tell you, but if you're new, you don't know. So, and I'm not picking that up off the floor, but Shores of Hawk Run Hollow is on 40 count Lakeside Sand Dune, and Anne is on 40 count Sleeping Bear by Needle and Flack. And on Needle and Flax. See, I'm a lazy speaker. And on Shores, I'm doing DMC. On Anne, I'm doing the Vicki Clayton Silk Pack. And on Mary Ann Kopp, I am using the called for hand-dyed and the called for DMC. And this is on 36 count Amaryllis by Under the Sea, which I'm using the back side of it, which is, I think, maybe the back side. One side is just a little bit more yellow than the other. Now that I look at it in the daylight, it doesn't seem to be any different. So here are the threads. Here are the threads for Mary Ann Kopp. Look at those colors. Oh, I just want them up here. Look at that. They're gorgeous. I know, I should be showing that, and I forgot. But I did work on that. I've been writing down how many days I've been writing on things, but I didn't share that with you. A lot of time on Anne because there's a lot there. I worked a little bit on Dorcas Hayes by the Scarlet Letter. Worked on the satin stitch. So I know, again, hanging thread, but worked on the satin stitch. So I'm going to be taking out that, where is it? That right there. I'm not happy with it. And there's some weird stuff going on with that line. So I'm going to be taking that out. That's why it jumped down to the letters. And there's lots to work on. So it's gorgeous. I think it's one of the prettiest samplers. And Dorcas is on, let's see, on 35 count weeks linen, and it's a Vicki Clayton silk pack in addition to NPI, because I'm brightening up those colors a little bit. I've talked about that in one of the previous videos about going to the Fitzwilliam Museum, and you can actually see the sampler and you can zoom up so much you can see whether the thread was carried or not. So I'm using that for some of the colors. And what else did I work on? So this one, looking at my notes here, why can't I read that? I don't have my reading glasses on. I'm working on Emeline. Is it Emeline? I think it's Emeline. Now, I had an Aunt Emmy, and her name was Emeline. I believe that's how we pronounced it. We always called her Aunt Emmy, and she was my great aunt. But I had her with me till my kids were in elementary school. So that was a real treat to be able to talk with her. So that's one of the reasons I wanted to do this. But this is Emeline Hotochkiss by Cross Stitch Antiques. And I am doing that on 40 count Furley by Needle and Flax. And I'm using the called for hand-dyed floss, which there aren't many colors, but they are pretty. Look at that green in there. So worked on her a little bit. I don't think I have a needle in this one. And I started in the bottom right corner because I wanted to do that house. So that's where I started. So there it is. So here it is, and let me hold the picture up so I'm doing just that part so far. Get the name in there so you can see it. And some other people that are doing this on Instagram, I think Susan Stanley is doing it. No, that's wrong. That's the next one I'm going to show. Contented Needleworker Kim is working on Emeline, as is Audrey of Stitch Stitch Bead, and they are doing a stitch along with that. So you can see that on Instagram, and I can't remember the hashtag, but I think I put it in one of the last videos. Is it Stitch with Emeline? Something like that. You could probably type in Emeline Hotochkiss and find it. And if I remember, I'll put a link in the description. So that's always the place if I say something or it's like, okay, I misspoke, let me put it in the description. That way I can kind of correct anything there. And the last thing that I worked on is Fruit Tree. That's what I'm calling it. It is by the Scarlet Letter. It's needlework panel of a fruit tree with 2 animals. Here at $16.90. And this one is the one Susan Stanley is working on, as is Contented Needleworker Kim, and I'm sure there's other people as well. But this one, again, was a little intimidated for me, but once I'm going, I really enjoy it. So here's the threads. There's a lot of colors in this. Well, it reminds me of a tapestry. But this one does have cross stitch. It does have quite a bit of over one. And what am I doing that on? This is on 36 count Winter Moon with DMC. And I will have, let me see if I can move that thread out of the way. I do have some hanging threads, but that's because I'm in the middle of working in an area and I don't want to lose that, but I need to move to somewhere else, then come back, and you know how that goes. Look at the colors. So we've got the body of the animal and some flowers and some leaves and holding this poor little lamb. I think that's going to be a wolf. And that one I've really enjoyed working on as well. I think that's all that I've worked on, which is quite a bit. And someone asked me, how long do I work on them? Really, it just depends on, usually I switch when I start to get bored. When I start to look at it and go, do I want to work on this today? That means I'm bored. So then I switch. So that works for me. And sometimes I'll work 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 days on something. And sometimes I'll work on it in the afternoon and go, okay, I'm ready to switch. So it just depends. And it also kind of depends on what's happening here. I know when we had all the bad weather on Wednesday with the storms, I didn't do much at all because I just couldn't concentrate. So I just worked on fill-in. But then when things are calm, I can work on things that are a little more intricate. And someone at the workshop asked me, how do I stitch so fast? I don't feel like I do stitch fast, but I do stitch two-handed, which means I have my hoop in a frame, in that Patoki frame, and I'm right-handed. My right hand is underneath. Let's see. Yes. I'm envisioning. My left hand is that the way I do it? I believe so. Maybe I do it like this. I can't remember now. Okay, I should have had it here. But one hand is underneath, one's on top. I think that's what I'm doing. Right hand underneath, pushing it up, left hand. Now, I'm going to have to tell you next time because now I can't remember. But I am working two-handed, so it's pulling down, pulling up, very quickly underneath. And I find for me that works best. But when we were at the workshop, you would be amazed at all the different setups, people using different kinds of hoops, using Q-snaps, using frames, using scroll rods, using a holder for it, stitching it in their hand, using the sewing method with no hoop at all. And everyone's work was beautiful. So really, it's just finding what you're comfortable with because there's no one right way. And I should have taken some video of people working, but I didn't want to do that for privacy purposes without asking. But just scanning the room, lots of different ways to do it. So do it the way that you're comfortable with, but that's how I do it. Let me show you, I've got a few things that I picked up, and I know last time I had a lot, and I didn't get this much. It's just like too much. So some of these things that I received since our last video were because I ordered them a while ago and they just came in. This is from the Facebook group Homespun Needlework. Is that correct? I believe so. Yes. And it is an exclusive to that group, Mary Jewel, 1853. It was kitted by Hobby House. Yes, Homespun Needlework Facebook group. And this is using 40 count Sweet Home Linen by Seraphim. And here are the threads. I just got this, haven't even opened it up. There are the threads. And it also came with Sampling of Memories. Made that. So that's the sampler. And then Sweet Home. It's a trio, a little trio of things. So there's the linen for that, and it uses the same thread. I might have this sampler in it too, in those three, or I might just have those three. I'm not sure. But I did order the extra linen, so I have it for both things. So that came in. And then this is a PDF by Dutch Treat Designs, Bristol Red. And this is a small one. This is by Claudia Dutcher, Kistler, Dutch Treat Designs, and it's a small Bristol. I was just looking to see if I could see the size. I don't see the size quickly. But I'm working on Harriet Salt, which will take forever. So I thought it might be fun to have a little Bristol to work on. So that came in, and then 123 Stitch was having a sale on Scarlet Letter. So I went to my wish list and picked up a couple of things because they were, I think, 15% off. So I picked up Joanna Warren, 1655. It's a band sampler. No idea when I'll start this, but I did want to have it. This is American Quaker band sampler, 1803. I have always liked this, that big lettering, the unusual motif. Let me back up so you can get the name and then go forward. This one is New England sampler, and it's worked on green Lindsay Woolsey, 1810. And I thought this would be perfect for the linen I picked up from Cedar River. Let me hold it like this. So that's why I got that. I thought, well, I'm going to put those together, so I have them. And then I picked up the DMC. I've had this chart. This is Ann Scott, 1765. And here's it's probably going to need more than one skein, but there's the colors. Not many. So I went ahead and got those. Hold it up here. You can see. So got those, and one more thing that came in. Remember I mentioned the last video, Sharon, who did Classic Colorworks, I think that's correct, is now dyeing linen, Miss Crescent's Crown Linen. And I had one color that I had ordered that just came in. Let me find it. I think it's this Madeline. Well, let me put up the ones. I can't remember which one just came in, but I'll show you again. It might be this one. This is Coffee Cake. And I'll put it up against Vintage Country Mocha so you can see. So you can see it's a brown, it's a neutral, a little lighter than Vintage Country Mocha. This one is more golden. This is Madeline, or Madeline. These are all 40 count. This one is more of a, well, it's a brown, it's called Cup of Mocha. A little brown pink, not really pink, but that tone. And then this one reminds me of Red Rocks. I mean, the actual Red Rocks, not the thread. This is Cup of Mocha. Well, what was the other one? Wasn't that Cup of Mocha? Hold on. Madeline. Am I missing one? Yes, the one I just showed you is Cream Puff. I apologize. This is Cream Puff. I think that's the one that just came in, and this is Cup of Mocha. So one of those, and now I can't remember which one, but that one I was missing and had ordered a while ago. That came in. And the last thing I want to show you is this. So for those of you in the homespun needlework, You may have picked up Charlotte Warrington 1838. And it's a big sampler. It came kitted with mason linen, and I ordered the hand-dyed. You could do silks, or I think you could do DMC. I did the hand-dyed. Now I want you to take a look at it. It's got the house, it's got the people, and interestingly, there is this sampler by Cross Stitch Antiques that I picked up that's called Oh Sweet Humility, which it's different, but it's similar. It's got a red house, it's got the yard or the grass. Let me back up so you can get the name. Where's the name? There we go. And there is, this is Oh Sweet Humility, Eliza Townsend, 1838. But what I wanted to read to you is, there is a connection between Charlotte Warrington and this one. So if you missed out on Charlotte Warrington, this is an option. And I purchased it kitted from Cross Stitch Antiques. And I ordered 36 count vintage pecan butter with the DMC. Did I put those? Yes, I did put those on a ring. Here you can see them. But let me read to you the connection. So on the first printing of this chart, where it was believed that there was nothing but a name and a date, no personal information could be discovered, other than perhaps she was an English girl. Well, thanks to Vicki and Megan of Needlework Press and the research done on their very similar sampler, Charlotte Warrington, Eliza, this one, has been identified. She was born in 1826 in Oxford, Kent, just 7 miles from where Charlotte stitched her very similar sampler 3 years later. And due to the, I'm just skipping down, due to the many similarities between Eliza and Charlotte, it could be surmised that the girls studied under the same teacher, perhaps at the same school. The red house is believed to be the school. The flying birds, the identical borders, many of the same motifs. So I thought that that was just so interesting. So I wanted to share that. This is Oh Sweet Humility, Eliza Townsend, which, as I said, let me hold them up. This one, Charlotte Warrington, they're similar but different. So if you missed out on Charlotte, perhaps you would like to do Eliza. And then I did see that a couple, now this is again, it's slightly similar, but again, very different. Just looking here, there is a red house, but it's different. The border is similar but different. Baskets similar but different, but the Queen of the May, that was for 2024. Similar but different. So I love seeing these things that are similar but different. So I think that's all the haul. And what am I going to work on? Well, probably be doing, probably working on Anne Tong Ufendel. I'm just going to call her Anne T. U. That doesn't roll off the tongue very easily. I'm not sure. I'm just going to work on whatever I feel like, whatever comes up. But I did want to mention there is a stitch along that is being done with Jody's Stitching Adventure and Susie Q Runs with Needles, and it's GH 1857. And this includes the sampler, but also these smalls. And I was talking with Teresa of Jersey Girl Stitches about that, because I did pull some linen and just started with the border to see if I liked it. This is XJU. My calendar is buried, so I'll have to share what it is later, unless it's right here. But I was telling Teresa, you know, I really just want to do the house. And of course I started all the way up here in the corner, and she mentioned that there's a small with the house. So now I'm thinking I might do a couple of these smalls as the stitch along. Where's the, and I am doing the Vicki Clayton silk pack. Let me show you that. I think it's XJU Old Mushroom. Here's the silks. So that stitch along is starting June 1st. And it's going to be a hashtag on Instagram. And there's no assignments. It's just post when you're working on it and encourage each other. But I do love the colors on this linen. So now I'm debating, do I want to keep working on the sampler, or do I want to just do the smalls? And I've got to come up with what I'm doing in the next couple of weeks. So I think that's all for today. I hope I haven't sped through that too quick, but I'm a minute late for my meeting, so I need to go. But I want to thank you for joining me. If you would hit, and if you can, because I know some of you are watching in different ways and can't, but if you can, hit that thumbs up, you know, that like button. It'll help other stitchers with the algorithm to find the video. And also if you subscribe, then you'll see when there's a next one. And I will probably be back in 2 or 3 weeks with who knows what I'll be stitching on. Who knows? So anyway, I want to thank you again for joining me. And until we meet again, happy stitching. Bye, everyone.